thing that I'm writing, and it's the reason why you'll never see it, okay? It's because it's a creepypasta format. Kind of. I always thought creepypastas were cool when I was like 12, but then when I got older, I realized the main problem with them was that they were all written by other 12-year-olds, you know? So I thought, what if you took the framing device, but then you shifted it into like a different genre? But it's mostly just stream of consciousness stuff, so I'm not trying to break any barriers. I'm just trying to get used to writing again a little bit, you know? But yeah, someone will find it. Oh, it's literally not posted anywhere, so probably not. Yeah. Marble Hornets is the only good creepypasta production. I forget. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember anything about Marble Hornets. Slenderman was never anything more than mediocre. Does Squidward turn to the audience with blood coming from his eyes? See, this is the thing that bothers me, okay? The problem is that the creepypasta format is shackled to the juvenile pretense that what is being described in the story could happen to you. So everything is limited to interactions with the game, you know? It's all ARG shit, basically, or it pretends to be. Oh, the reason why this is spooky is because maybe you could play Pokemon and the Lavender Town music plays and the Pokemon really die, and then they look at you and the eyes are hyper realistic and the eyes bleed and blah blah blah. Like it's shackled to that. The problem with that is that when that's happening, you leave out a really important part of horror, which is characterization. You can't characterize anyone or anything when the set piece is entirely focused on the premise that this could happen to you, and that all happens in the game. So, unfortunately, it's a really, really limited medium. And I think that there's nothing fundamentally wrong with the pretense that there's something like spooky in a game that captures your attention. Allison Ivani, if that's true, email me, I'll fix it. My apologies. But it's always the same tropes over and over and over again, you know? Oh my god, it's so scary. The eyes were bloody. What about SCPs? SCPs are better because they aren't limited to that pretense. A, SCPs world build, because they all happen in the same fake alt universe. And B, SCPs are way less restricted in terms of their premises and framing devices. It's not all, you're playing a video game and then it got spooky, woo, you know? It's actually a fairly cultivated and well-moderated set of little vignettes where you get to, you know, stuff like that. That's better. Definitely way more interesting, I think, than the creepypasta format, you know? Now, to me, the thing that's always interested me, right, is the realistic reaction a person would have if something creepypasta-esque happened to them. I mean, really think about it for a second, okay? You're playing a video game. Let's say you're playing, sure, Pokemon, I don't know. And, like, the scary stuff starts to happen. Now, you're not an idiot, okay? If scary stuff starts to happen in the game, the immediate thought would be, I imagine, oh, this is a cracked version about the game. This is a cracked version of the game. It's like modded or edited. If you're playing it on a ROM, then that's even more likely. Like, oh, somebody edited this in some spooky way, you know? Like, that would be my immediate reaction. I wouldn't immediately think Ghost. I would think, wow, that was an incredibly well-done tampering that they did for the specific purpose of fucking with people. How nice. Yeah, cool, like an Easter egg, yeah. And by the way, that stuff exists. If you go online, you can find little fan-modded projects that are dressed up to look like an official Mario game, Pokemon game, Sonic game, whatever. But when you play it, it gets creepy. And usually these are like 2 minutes long, and they're all, you know, they're really juvenile and stuff like that, you know. But I think they're cool. So that is probably the first thought that you'd have. But what thought would you have when the boundaries of the creepy stuff in the game begin to exceed the limits of what you could do with edits to the game, you know? So in what I'm writing, for example, this takes place when something in the game directly references an event which took place in the history of the person who's playing it. If that happened, you can't explain that with creepy hacking. Now you think, okay, wait, hold on. And how do you respond to that really? Do you really believe at any point in time, um, this is a ghost? Is that the natural response? Genuinely, like, why, like, what, like, is that the immediate thing you think of? Do you doubt your perception? Do you play further because if it really is supernatural, you really want to know what it is or what it means? Or do you, like, get other, like, friends to, like, come look at it with you too? The thing that I'm getting at is that I think stuff like this is way more sociologically interesting than just explaining how the creepy stuff in the game ramps up, Because that's all creepypastas are. It just describes all the spooky stuff happening in tandem, like the person just keeps doing it and there's like no thought or reflection and it just keeps going. And then the big spooky happens and like a person dies or like the curse is passed on or whatever. But there's very little characterization, very little analysis of why people behave the way they do. And think of the logic too. Why does a ghost do what a ghost does, or a curse, or any other supernatural object? Is their power infinite? What's their goal? I mean, if their power was infinite, no matter what their goal is, they probably wouldn't be limiting themselves to haunting people through video games, right? They have to have a limit to their power. You can say they're like capricious and bored and they do whatever pleases them, but I've never been satisfied with the explanation that some enormously powerful being who enjoys human suffering would limit themselves exclusively to like pranks through games because that just happens to be the limitation they like holding themselves to. Like, okay, you have all the power, you can rewrite reality, you can shift people, you can kill, you can do it, and then like you limit yourself to this, like, okay, you're clearly like, this is an arbitrary set of limitations placed on you for narrative reasons, right? So what are the boundaries? What are the limits? Why do the ghosts do what they do? What is the supernatural explanation for this behavior, And you don't have to explain it, but it's good to know, or at least to have an understanding of, like, what those limits are. And I'll tell you guys this much. If I thought there was some supernatural force that was haunting me, my immediate thoughts would be, how do you make it fuck off? What are its limits? And how do you kill it? Like, wouldn't that be what you'd think? I mean, if you really thought you were being haunted, like, you wouldn't just keep playing the game. Your thoughts would be like, oh, I guess my understanding of the world has been completely shattered, and I need to kill this ghost or somehow remove it. I need to eliminate it as a threat to me. Something like that, I just feel like people would behave in interesting ways in these situations, You have to fuck it and then it'd go away? Do you? Ghost fucking? Sure, if the ghost is overage and consents, I guess. I don't know if that would send away most ghosts, though. Yes, the gussy, of course. Thank you. Where does the cum go? I guess it just goes everywhere? Whatever. You all understand what I mean, right? Right? You do get it, right? Sure? Okay, whatever. The best part of supernatural horror has always been how people react to it, and not so much the supernatural horror itself. I'll give you an example, okay? Wait, one more example, okay? We'll go back to the classic. You all know it, you all love it, maybe. Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, which would you be more interested in, conceptually? I haven't written either of these, so I don't want any favoritism or pretense or whatever. Okay, which do you think would be more, like, what would grip you more if someone were to write books? And by the way, there are Five Nights at Freddy's books. I've never read them. I never will read them, but I know they exist. Would you rather read, like, here is a description of a person sitting there, and here are all the scares that happen and get worse, and then the big scare happens and you die, and that's the creepypasta of Five Nights at Freddy's when you sit in the building and then the creepy things happen and here are the creepy things? Or would you rather read, like, a novel with characters who react to and deal with the trauma and the expectations of supernatural behavior in ways that correspond to their character, who process it, who try to overcome it, and who sometimes fail, by the way. Or I imagine often fail. Okay, the people who are saying one either are making fun of me or have bad taste. All right, we're done. Stop. I get the most scared when character reactions are not really what I do, like they're kind of off. To me, the most frightening feeling, I think there's a word for this feeling. I don't know if this word is in English or if it's in a different language. I feel like the most frightening feeling is the subtle disconcertation of all of the people around you being onto you, but not for reasons you know. You get the feeling that everyone around you is they are aware of you, but you don't know what it is they're perceiving. Waking up in your house and going downstairs to say hello to your family, and you notice that all of them have locked eyes onto you before you even acknowledge them. They always linger their gazes a little bit too long. They always feel like they're hovering around you, but when you talk to them, they're perfectly ordinary. They act normal. They speak to you kindly. They don't speak oddly, just something about them. Stuff like that, I think, is really spooky, you know? But you need characterization to legitimize it. It can't just happen. You've ever, you know those, maybe you've read a book, you have two really well-developed characters, and one of them is the perspective character, the other one is like the really loved, like, best friend or partner or whatever. And that person, you come to appreciate them in the book, and then they start acting subtly off, and there's a supernatural element, you think, oh no, something's happened. You know? Japanese horror is really good at this stuff. Yeah, this is why everyone likes Junji Ito. Yeah. Like, something's happened here.